G'day. We're going to go through some ESO training today. We're going to look at a variety of things. First being that this is only going to cover some of the incidents module in ESO. We're going to look at the key differences between ESO and emergency reporting, some of the overall usage concepts that you'll see throughout the ESO software, and then look at some specific items such as assignment, the quality control reviewer, incident narratives, unit and unit reports, as well as some of the additional modules. Following that, we'll actually go through an existing module or existing incident, how it looks in emergency reporting, and how you would actually do that same one in ESO. So, without further ado, let's get started. So first things first, when you sign into ESO, you'll use the same username as emergency reporting. I'm going to be setting that up, and the password will be sent to you, or the process for actually logging in will go to your email, where you'll authorize and verify that you're getting the getting access correctly. In addition, much like I am responding, you are going to need an agency code. Unfortunately, it is a slightly different agency code to I am responding. In this case, it is FFPD code. So when you log in to ESO, you're going to see basically that little screen there, or as a portion of the screen. You'll use the user ID, password, and the agency code. Okay, so we're here with ESO, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now, once you've logged in, you'll go to the main dashboard screen of ESO. We're mostly going to be focusing, in fact, we're always going to be focusing on incidents. When you first click incidents, you'll get a list of incidents. By default, the incident status is draft. And let me just get rid of this filter. But we'll get an incident status of draft. And we can also choose to say whether we want recent ones or all of them, whether we want to see ones that are locked or regular. Now, this is a good opportunity to talk about the difference between draft and locked. Drafts are open to be edited, information added to them, and locked is when you send it, for want of a better word, up the food chain to get implemented into ANFRs. And that's when it will actually go to lock status. That can also then be reviewed by a quality control reviewer. Additionally, on the right-hand side, you also have the ability to define a series of filters. Date range filters, specific date ranges, if you're looking for a specific incident number. And the incident number is a little bit different, but the incident numbers of the last 3 or 4 digits of what you're used to seeing, then you can select it here, as well as putting a variety of other items like incident status. As you said, draft is editable. If you happen to know a certain unit was sent to a scene, you can actually choose which unit by clicking unit and then saying engine 536. So once I apply that, then you'll actually see those incidents that engine 536 was assigned to and went to. Now, when you first get into ESO, so the few key differences from emergency reporting. First up, I think you'll find that it's a lot easier to navigate. The buttons are bigger, what you click on is bigger, and you no longer have to micro in on exactly 1 2x2 pixel box in the basic tab. Now, as I mentioned before, whenever an incident is first created, it's going to be in draft status. This is the area, this is the status that we will be editing the reports in. We don't have the concept of the report being assigned to somebody, so it's up to each individual incident commander to go into ESO and basically grab their report and start editing it. Now, once you do, you actually will you can look at the quick summary by pressing the info tab here, and you'll actually see who that report writer is that's started on it. We don't force the use of a report writer, so the last person editing that will actually be classified as a report writer. So I can click on this and go into the incident itself. Now, one of the really nice things is we no longer have to come in and say, oh, where's the CAD notes? Let's print the CAD notes and put them up on a different screen. So as we look at a screen here, there's a variety of different tabs across the top. In this case, we've got basic and unit reports. Those are fairly standard for almost all activities. Then we've got fire, casualty, EMS, which is a module that we don't use, hazmat, wildland, and investigation. Investigation, obviously only when there's a fire. On the left-hand side, you actually see different sections, and we can scroll down to get to each of those different sections. There's location, and then times, apparatus counts, etc. Or we can actually fast path using the left-hand menu to get to each section. So in general, you'll probably find that a little easier. Now, when we're first up here at the incident level, let's see and figure out exactly what this was. So I'm going to come up to the top right here and say CAD notes. Now, CAD notes are automatically delivered. They're not quite as neat and tidy as in printout and emergency reporting, but you can really get this information quickly. And additionally, you can actually select the data and copy and paste it. So in this case, we're going to look here and go, we've got a jackknife semi. So therefore, it must be a motor vehicle accident. Now, when I click on that field of incident type, a pop-up, because it's required, pops up on the right-hand side and says, what's my incident type? Now, I can go through the list as I used to by clicking rescue, emergency medical services incident, and then finding EMS call excluding injuries or motor vehicle accident with injuries, or if it's just the MVA, well, let's just look for accident. I just type in ACC and boom, I've got vehicle accident, general cleanup, accident, potential accident, other. Now, for the most part, we don't want to be choosing any incident type that is divisible by 10. We want to actually go to the specific. Now, in this case, I think we were vehicle accident, general cleanup. This is one we actually helped Evergreen on. But for the next few days, whenever you log into ESO, you'll be able to actually modify anything you want. And once the 1st of April comes along, we'll be switching to a live environment. So feel free between now and April 1st to play around, test, press every button you wish. But once April 1st comes around, please do not do this unless it's your own call report. So in this case, no, it wasn't a working file. We're going to work through this pretty much the same way as we would have worked through anything else. Now, the other thing is key usage concepts is when we look at the interface, we'll often see the little hamburger menu on the right hand side, and that means you've got a list of options to choose from. So sometimes if you don't have that, you've got the ability to enter text. Well, that's just alarms. But for the most part, it's going to be choosing an option. In our environment, we are going to require the station. So we're going to click on that, and obviously we're going to choose the station that is closest to the incident. For additional details on which station to identify, for the most part, it will be the closest incident, or the closest station. This was not idle. This technically was actually Rainbow. Now, there's a variety of other things, much like emergency reporting, which we can use to further subdivide, but we're not doing that currently. Action taken, little hamburger icon. Well, in this case, we actually did some fill-in, standby, and we got there and we'll put on standby. Now, it's very important to consider that all of this information is used for reporting at a local, state, and global level. So try and be as specific as you can when you're filling this out. For instance, in aid given, well, in this case, we actually we were giving mutual aid. The agency was Evergreen. I can just type in EV, boom, select it. Now I don't have their incident number, but we can generally find that in a little bit. Times are generally populated from previous from the CAD notes, but if we need to, once again, we can just click on CAD notes and go, okay, so the call first dropped at 16:11:38, and it was reported up to us, well, actually to Evergreen and us a little bit later. So in this case, we probably would want to change this to when it was actually put on. So as we scroll down this, we can see that here is actually when a case number was issued for Foothills Fire. And even this is kind of a problem because the alarm here came out at 1618, 418, and it was created in our case at let's see, 1618 duplicate call. So obviously there was 2 calls on this one, and they've added in the second one to added in the original call that came to us, and added it to the back of the call notes for the technical Evergreen fire or Evergreen incident. So let's not worry too much about this. This is a very specialized case. But just double check these, make sure that the alarm time is actually the alarm time that is relevant for our particular incident and environment. Additionally, the system will actually pick up the arrival time of our first unit into the CAD notes. Now, as we go along here, you'll see we've got times, counts. We're not going to worry too much about counts here because we're going to be putting in a lot of information into the unit reports. If you have property losses, you can estimate property losses as well. You can add people or owners of property, subject vehicle, etc. Now in this case, because I'm the report writer, there's an authorization section, text box for assignment, authorization date, and there you can also say who is the officer in charge, and your MFIS number, incidentally, here will be your radio code. So, if the officer in charge of this was John Mills, his MFIS number is Tango 515. Now, even the report writer can go in and click authorized for him. There will be some controls under who can do this. Another difference from emergency reporting is the incident narrative. It is a free form. You can have one incident narrative per incident, and if additional units want to add their own 2 cents worth, so to speak, you can actually do it within a unit report. But here is where you would do your complete incident report. Right. As you type it, it's automatically saved, so everything's great. Now as we look at this, we say, okay, great, we've got a bunch of stuff in our basic tab. Doesn't look like everything's completed, and if we look up to the top, we see, oh, there's 5 validation issues. Dang it. Okay, so I click on that, and this little button pops up. and says basic tab, location required. Easy. I go to location, type, and I say it's an street address, which case it's kind of technically not a street address, so let's have a look at it and we'll say it's more of an intersection. And the address required, we're actually going to put in 247 there, and the street or highway name will be I-70. Street type we'll put in, and it's a highway. And where else? Incident cross street required. Or perhaps it shouldn't be classified. Maybe we can go back and say that's the street address. Yes. Boom, we changed it to a street address, and we've gone down to 4 validation issues. Suppression personnel must be greater than 0 if apparatus responded to an incident. So what's the total number of people? Now if we put 0 in suppression apparatus, and we're going to put a bunch of errors up there, but if one apparatus went, 0 suppression apparatus went, this one will tell us that cannot be less than 1, then count of unit reports with use of 1, which we'll get to in a second. The other thing is we can actually look at the unit reports tab. So there's an issue with one of the unit reports. So let's go, rather than click here and go straight into it, let's actually go to unit reports and we'll see how that thing's structured. So up here you can actually assign or have assigned automatically a series of units. Units are items with call signs. Additionally, we will have locations as stations where people can respond to, so that we can assign people to be waiting at a station. Reports gives a different view of unit actions, narratives, etc., and personnel shows what personnel were assigned to the unit. So if we go back to units and we look at this and we go, engine 535 went to this, let's actually click on that line and go into the details. So suppression, EMS or other, right? Technically in this one we drove to scene, stopped for a second and then left, were released. Responding from, not mandatory, but it is a good idea to add this. Priority, emergent, and nothing stopped our delay. It stopped us getting there on time. Times get pre-populated for most things when that unit number is actually measured and written into the CAD notes. So if we look at the, sorry, not that one, CAD notes, we can see down the bottom that we actually did not get all the CAD notes on this one, but in general we're going to see the CAD notes that basically say this is when dispatch is notified, this is when this vehicle went on route, this is when this vehicle arrived, etc. When this vehicle cleared. So in this case, I happen to know that this vehicle cleared about 30 seconds after we arrived, so I just selected the above, copied it, and I'm going to add 30 seconds to that date and click OK. Now we're off, gone to red on this, gone to black on this one. 534 did not actually go to this event. So this often will happen if somebody says the wrong number. So if you say I went in route with 536 and then changed and said, whoops, actually it was 537, then both units will be determined. Both units will be allocated. So that's not hard. We can just delete one. Yes, I'm sure we want to delete. 536 did go en route. It arrived a few minutes before us, and it was predominantly other. It could be EMS, but it doesn't make a huge difference in this particular case because it was actually more of a command unit. Responded from Rainbow and lights and sirens, or emergent. Dates and times pre-populated, verify that they seem about correct. So when this unit was dispatched and when it went en route. Additionally, then now we can move through actions and say this was actually incident command. Or I can just type my 81 if I remember it, just boom, incident command. And let's say provide manpower again. Now for people, we're going to click on that and say add personnel. In this case, John Mills was on this one. And we can just type his name and select. If we have other people in there, we can do the same. But in this case, John was the only one on that truck. And if command desires it, we could have John actually write the unit narrative for that particular unit. Now, one of the other things you can do with personnel, it becomes a bit more important on a structure fire, is if we're actually doing forcible entry. Did we make contact with the patient with PPE? Great. We can also then add in what fire products were exposed to. So if there was a fire, we can say he was exposed to smoke. The Class AV foam. So we can choose these things so that over time we can tell how many exposures to fire products our firefighters are going through. We could also basically say what firefighting gear or gear was actually worn. Did we have a PPE malfunction, etc. And what you visibly saw for that particular individual. So that's a unit report. Now in this case, we've done both unit reports. We can see that there is no narrative, but we've got unit actions, and then we can look at personnel, and we can see who was actually on, what unit they were on, and what fire products they were exposed to. Right. We'll check up here, validation issues, and we're good to go. We can lock the incident. At which point, we're no longer able to edit it. Now, if we wish to unlock it in order to do quality control activities, we can say unlock the incident, unlock the record, come back and fill in the relevant information. So that's a very, very quick overview of ESO and how we're going to use it. I think you'll find it very easy to use and a lot easier and more intuitive, ultimately, than emergency reporting. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, either email or as you're writing a report, feel free to contact me via cell phone. Thanks. Talk to you soon.